Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Saints podcast. I am Eric Welding, of course, Director of Admissions here at Seward County Community College. And Saints podcast, of course, informational podcast, because we want you to know what all we have going on here at Seward County Community College and invite you just a little more insight into some of our programs. Also, don't forget, I still have scholarships to give away for watching YouTube videos. That's right. All you have to do is check out the description down below and shoot me an email. It's really that simple. Find the email address in the description in this video right down below. Today in the studio, man, I am so happy. I've been asking these guys to come in for a while, and we finally got our schedules all worked out, I think. I have the welding department here at Seward County Community College, Mr. Noble, Mr. Lackey. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Awesome. You guys want to just introduce yourselves and who are you, all that kind of stuff.
We're glad for the invite since we are neighbors now, because the podcast room is like right next door to our shop.
Right.
So
Right.
we're excited to be here. But I'm Jerad Noble, the welding instructor at Seward County Community College. I've been here 5 years, and that's me.
There we go. All right.
All right. I'm Andrew Lackey. I'm the second instructor. I've been at Seward County for 1 year. I did teach welding at Perrington High School for 6 years, and currently I'm working on connecting high schools with the welding program.
There we go. Go Rangers. All right. Yeah. Cool, guys. So, of course, we're talking about your welding program, and welding program is really popular here at Seward County Community College, man. We get a lot of students go through that. So you want to tell me just a little bit about it? What makes it so popular?
I think the reason what makes it so popular is, I'm going to reflect back upon before I came here, I was an ag teacher. Every ag program has a welding shop, and I think a lot of students are introduced to the welding trade at a very young age. Usually when they're 8th graders or freshmen in high school, right around in there is generally when they send them to the shop. And that works, it exposes them to what it's about and really opens the doors for a lot of students to want to pursue that as a career in welding. And as far as our program is concerned, that works well for us because we're teaching all the basic manual welding processes: MIG, stick, TIG, flux core, oxy-fuel welding, oxy-fuel cutting, plasma cutting, some of the manual cutting processes like using a grinder, abrasive saws, shears, things of that nature. So we're able to take that basic foundation that they're learning from the time they're 8th grade freshman year, and then we just make it more detailed and give them more time and show them more in-depth skills to further enhance their skill set for their chosen career path.
There we go. Yeah, Andrew, what about your experience, man? What makes welding so popular?
Well, what makes everything popular? Money, right? There's, lots of job opportunities, and when you're a skilled welder and you can, pass all these certification tests and that they pay for that.
Yeah, so of course money is a huge factor. That's not we can't deny that the payment is great. So what about some of the courses that students will be taking here? I know Jerad, you always list off that just the processes that you guys teach, and I know some of that stuff like tons of hands-on. Can you just kind of tell me about some of the courses that somebody coming in is going to take here at our program?
We're probably an 85 to 90% hands-on, and probably anywhere between a 15 to 10% in classroom. I mean, we're utilizing our Canvas LMS learning system to enhance our theory portion, or what we have to teach as far as knowledge and theory about welding, and then we're using that platform to increase our shop time. So our students, when they're on campus, are spending the majority of their time in the shop, burning rod, cutting. Actually getting the hands-on skill, because welding's a skill. I mean, you have to do it, you have to practice it. I mean, you can't learn how to do it by watching videos and in a book. You have to actually put that knowledge into place, take it from A, which is your head, to B in your hands, and then the part in your hands, the hands-on, the physical aspect of it is the most important, because in the industry you can either do the job or you can't. So that's kind of why we've had our program tailored the way we do. We're also teaching classes in teaching some basic layout stuff, teaching some, like with our trade basics class, basic construction skills like ladder climbing, electrical, basic electrical, things of that nature. So we're trying to get the most well-rounded student we can with the approach that we're going. There's a lot of schools out there who focus in one area only to really hammer their students or graduates into. We take the Swiss Army knife approach, as I call it. We want you to be the Swiss Army knife coming out of our program, and that when you go out and go apply for a job, you're rounded in everything that you do, and that makes you a more valuable employee. That makes you a better skilled individual, and you know, throughout the course of your 30, 40-year career, that's going to open more doors for you, we think, in the long run than just being focused in one area.
Yeah, and there's plenty of time to specialize later, you know, and learn everything that you can right now, so you can apply for any single job that comes across.
Right.
Yeah, and Jerad, you mentioned Canvas just a little bit. I just want to just real quick, if anybody watching or if you're a student who's unfamiliar with Canvas, that's the online learning system that we use here at Seward County Community College. And a lot of our instructors, not only on the industrial tech side, but of course, you know, on the over on the other side of campus too, we utilize Canvas a lot. So if you don't know what Canvas is or need kind of a refresher, be sure you hit us up, and we'll definitely walk you through that. So a lot of those classes, you know, like I said, Jerad, you have to take all that stuff. I mean, you can theoretically watch a YouTube video, but you're not really going to learn it unless you put, you know, metal to metal.
That's correct.
So there we go. So what kind of degrees and certifications can a student get through this program?
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, just throw them in the fire. We do NCCR certification for your trade basics, which is nationally recognized. We work off the SENSE program as far as AWS, American Welding Society. If you do Google it, make sure it's American Welding Society, not Amazon.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
the American Wine Institute, they have a program, a course called AWS as well.
Do
Right,
they?
right.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The American Wine Institute.
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
an
Google
AWS.
AWS and it'll pull up and try to sell you wines.
I'll be right back.
Right. Try not to mix those.
Especially while welding.
While welding, right.
Right.
We can explain more of this later. Visit Eric in our
Yeah.
recruitment department.
There we go. Oh yeah, so we're looking at the AWS and the NCCER, right?
Yes.
So what can you tell us a little bit more about those, Mr. Lackey, and what what does AWS entail? What's the NCCER entail? Kind of how does that go?
All right. AWS, American Welding Society, they are basically they're the ones that write the codes and everything that we teach to, and what industry is held accountable for. Right? When you drive across that bridge, that is AWS code, you know, welded to code, built to that code, and that's what we're teaching them to. They have what they call a SENSE program, which is our curriculum that we're currently using. NCCR, a little history on it. It was developed by people in the industry for industry. So instead of going to seminars and sitting in useless training, they came up with this curriculum to show what they need and what they expect. And then, you know, the educational system kind of got bolted onto that. Like, you know, here's a good curriculum that you guys can use that actually is useful instead of cloud-based or, you know, theoretical stuff.
And these are national curriculums too. So if you get an AWS Sense Level 1 and Level 2, we're currently a Level 1 working towards a Level 2 credentialing system. These are good anywhere you go across the country. So Sense was actually created for that purpose because the welding education field was so diverse nationwide from where you went. If you went on the East Coast, you were getting into a lot of the shipbuilding areas. The East Coast, same way. You get up in the upper Midwest, it was a lot of mining, boiler making applications. Down here in this part of the world, it was pipeline and general construction. And so the American Welding Society, they all kind of got together and decided we need a national curriculum for welding skills education. SENSE actually stands for Schools Excelling in National Standards Education. And so this program was developed to put everybody kind of on the same playing field. And It consists of a welding occupations module, a blueprint reading module, or weld print reading as we call it, a weld inspection module, a cutting processes module, and then obviously your process, your stick, SMAW, GMAW, FCAW, GTAW modules, and those have the written exam, and then they have what are required hands-on to complete those, and it's generally you're tested in all positions with fillet welds and all position and groove welds within each one of those modules. By the time it works out to complete a sense level 1 and 2, you're doing 64 weld joints.
Wow.
With total, all those processes. So it's a lot to get done in a year to year and a half when you're in our program. And that just can't, don't nail me down to the year and a half. I mean, that just kind of depends on the individual and the student and their degree plans too.
Yeah, and that's one of it kind of goes back to one of the reasons why we use that Canvas class, is so we have enough shop time during the year to get all that kind of stuff done. So correct me if I'm wrong, guys. So if I go through the welding program here at Seward County, not only can I do, because around here, it's mostly pipeline welding. But so I could go through the course here at Seward County Community College and then head over to East Coast or West Coast and do shipbuilding.
If you can pass their test, sure.
Really?
You should be able to have a basic foundation of what's going on. Now, we can't guarantee that you're going to pass a test for your employer, because if your employer is doing any kind of code work at all, they're required to give you a test based on the code that they're welding to, and that certification is valid for 6 months. KBK, we test for that. They bring us stuff sometimes, and we bend them out, the coupons, to see if their guys have passed or not. They're just one of our local employers here.
Cool.
And so yeah, you could go work in a shipyard. Now, my advice to a student that's thinking that would be, go work as a helper in a shipyard and get it figured out for a little bit before you go decide to do that, because there's a big difference in welding on ships versus welding on tanks.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, I'll bet. And so what about like some of the stuff in Wichita, like with the airplane building and stuff like that? Do they need a whole lot of welders, for airplane building and stuff?
They need a lot of people that are real experienced in TIG, doing a lot of clean, precise work. And the big thing that people are needing now are people with a understanding and a skill set in welding to help set up automation and robotics in welding. That's been a big thing, especially for the aerospace industry, because they're having to repeat weldments on parts so fast, so precise, with such a high quality standard that they can take the human error factor out of a lot of it by automating and using robotics on some of it. But they have to have somebody that understands the welding process and knows how it's all worked, and is a well-rounded individual to set up those machines to perform those specific functions.
It's cool. So does that mean we're gonna be stealing Butch and Chris's robotic arm here pretty soon?
I'm hoping so. I want to put a welding gun on it.
Yeah, and that's something I keep meaning to get Butch and Chris in here to talk about, because they're moving to like a manufacturing, what do they call it, manufacturing 4.0 or something like that.
Yeah,
and they're doing a lot more with like robotics, and like you would see if you're going to like, a GM factory or Toyota factory, you see them like assembling the stuff and the robotic arm welders and stuff like that. So, I mean, really, really cool, and I can't wait to start showing people that. It's going to be awesome. So, about how long, and Jerad, you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but about how long does it take to complete these degrees and certifications here?
Well, right now we're on the books for 3 semesters to finish a Cert C in the welding. We're working towards a Cert A and a B. A Cert A would be 1 semester, a Cert B would be 2 semesters, and a Cert C is 3 semesters on ours. I mean, but it all kind of depends on the student and their degree and their career path. I mean, if you're taking a full load, you're going to obviously complete the program faster than somebody that's just taking 2 or 3 classes at a time. So time of completion is a loaded question.
So, okay, so let me ask this then. Yeah, no, I mean, that's absolutely, it all depends. And even it doesn't matter what program you're going in. It's all going to depend on the student, what kind of load that they can handle. So let me ask this. What's the difference between the Cert A, the Cert B, and the Cert C? So if I go through and do like the Cert A, what kind of things can I do with that?
Cert A, you're going to be limited. I mean, you could go out and get a job. I mean, it's going to be just basic stick welding, basic MIG welding. some oxy-fuel cutting. You'll be able to get a job probably maybe a little fab shop or something along those lines. Cert B, you're going to get into the flux core and TIG. It's going to give you more well-rounded experience. You're actually on the Cert B. You're going to be finishing a bend test to standard, so you're going to be completing one of the AWS levels. So with a Cert A, you wouldn't be doing that because of the standards that the American Welding Society places upon us in order to complete that program to offer a level 1, and then a Cert C, you would be getting the full package. I mean, you'd be getting the maximum shop time, which is what it's about.
Yeah. So if we're wanting to, if I'm wanting to, I'm a new student coming in, and I'm wanting to get my AWS and I'm wanting to get my NCCER, then I have to go through the what is it, 45 credit hours or something like that? 40 credit hours. So the full thing. Yeah.
My advice to you, if you were a student coming in and were looking at doing that, I would tell you to get the Cert C and then go ahead and stick it out for another 15 to 16 hours and get your associate's degree and become more marketable on top of that. Because I hear it all the time. So, well, I don't know if I want to be in school that long. Well, think about it. You're already here 3 semesters to get to one point. What's another semester? You're already ahead of your peers.
Yeah. And one thing that we tell a lot of guys, too, especially if they're going into, stuff like welding, if they're going into, maybe auto body collision, a lot of these programs out here in industrial tech, a lot of our CTE programs, really, we tell them, look at business. I mean, once you finish your certifications in the program that you're wanting, maybe take a semester worth of business.
Yep. We've actually had that discussion.
Yeah. Cool. So, and we had kind of talked about this a little bit with the shipyard welding and some of the pipeline welding stuff. But once I graduate, let's say I got my AWS, I got my NCCER. What kind of after college work opportunities am I looking at?
Kind of depends on you, what you want to do. I mean, you can go work on assembly line, being an assembly line welder. You could go be a pipeline. I always tell people when they're going to go to pipeline, they go be a helper for a little bit, kind of learn the ins and outs, and then go put your rig truck together. I mean, kind of the sky's the limit. It kind of depends on what you want to do. You're going to be a very skilled and very sought after entry level employee wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, you can pretty much, once you leave here, you'll have the skills to be able to handle just about any job except maybe some of the specialized stuff. I have a student that graduated from high school under me, and she is now in Minnesota making about $64 an hour doing stainless steel food grade welding. And then I have another guy that's making about 116 chasing the pipeline all over the country. So, it kind of depends on what you want to do and what your mindset is. Do you want to stay here? Then you're kind of limited to what's here. But if you're willing to go somewhere, then, you can go wherever you'd like.
Right. So, just real quick, and this is for my own curiosity. I've never had this question, but I'm just kind of curious. Underwater pipeline welding. You guys have any experience with that?
We'll teach you how to weld the pipe, learning how to dive and keep from getting eaten by sharks. We'll send you down to Ocean Corp down in Houston to do that.
There we go. That's what I figured. I think it'd be about Houston, around Houston, Galveston area. So,
yeah.
All right.
There's a training facility, a company that does a lot of the underwater training, and they're like, well, I think there's only like 2 in the country, and one of them's located in Houston.
Yeah.
And but I was visiting with one of their guys here several years ago. To get into their school, you have to have completed a welding program to learn how to weld above ground before they send you below the waves.
Yeah. Okay. So now a question that I have had quite a bit, and this is something that we kind of just barely touched on, but putting their own truck together and being one of those guys that, because you see them, especially around here, man, you see those guys with their big welding trucks are driving to and from the job site. So what, man, I know it's going to be a lot of work, but what all does that entail?
Well, like we had mentioned before, the business degree or hitting up some of those business classes, because you are your own business. You basically work for yourself. You go out and find the jobs, take the weld test. They hire you based on your weld test, and then you're there anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 years, depending on the size of the project. And after that, then, you move on to the next deal, unless you want to take a vacation or whatever. It's kind of nice because you're able to work for yourself like that. But to get started is real expensive. I mean, you got to buy, you need to have at least a 3/4 ton pickup, preferably 4-wheel drive, because those things are not on pavement. And then you got to buy a gas or a diesel driven welder, and then all the stands and all the torches and everything that goes with it. So getting started is really expensive. Eventually it pays itself off, but once you do that, you get your first job, or you go test for your first job, whether you pass it, fail it, or no, we got enough guys kind of thing. You start meeting people, and it becomes more of a social network, and kind of that it's not what you know, who you know kind of deal.
Yeah.
And that's where I always advise students that are looking to do that, is to go work, be a helper under somebody for a while to get your foot in the door on that social network, because a lot of guys do look out. Everybody's got a phone now. Everybody texts. They'll send, hey, we got a job here, heard of a job there.
Right.
And if you're just a new guy coming in off the block and you don't know any of that, you don't have any contacts or know anybody in the industry, it's tough to get going.
Yeah.
And so that's why I always suggest go find somebody to work under and learn the specifics of that while developing your social network. And then you can make some decent money, and you're not having to borrow so much to put your truck together too.
Right. And we've kind of talked about that when Nick and Josh, our ag guys, whenever they were in the studio, kind of like, you got to network, man. And it's one of the things, the communication skills are important no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
more so in today's world than it was, say, 30 years ago or 40 years ago.
Right. So, guys, I think we're getting ready to kind of wrap some stuff up. Is there anything that we need to touch on that we haven't yet?
I don't think so.
No? All right.
Other than we'd love to see you on campus. Classes are currently enrolling.
There we go. And I am going to go ahead and put up that admissions number real quick. So if you have any other questions or comments, you want to come see us, man, give us a call at the number on the screen. And Mr. Lackey, Mr. Noble, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you, Eric.
All right.